Ladies and gentlemen, we often think of meditation as a practice for relaxation, a way to escape the chaos of the world and find peace within ourselves. But what if I told you that meditation, when approached with the same intensity as a Navy SEAL training or the determination of an ultramarathon runner, could become a transformative journey of mental fortitude and personal power? The great David Goggins once said, "The mind is a powerful thing. It can either be your greatest ally or your biggest enemy." In this journey into deep meditation, we aren't just aiming to calm the mind. No, we are seeking to harness its power, to push past the limits of what we think is possible, to face the discomfort, the pain, and the resistance, and to break through them. Meditation at its core is about mastery, not of the body, but of the mind. Meditation is often seen as a practice for relaxation, a way to escape the noise of the world and find peace within. But if we look deeper, meditation can become much more than just a technique for calming the mind. It can be a form of mental endurance, a way to train the mind to face discomfort, push through resistance, and overcome the limitations we often place on ourselves. This is where the mindset of someone like David Goggins comes into play. An individual who thrives on pushing himself beyond the limits, facing adversity head on, and developing a kind of mental toughness that allows him to endure unimaginable challenges. In many ways, meditation mirrors the concept of physical endurance. Just as athletes train their bodies through rigorous workouts, meditation trains the mind. It's not just about sitting still and clearing your thoughts. It's about developing the resilience to sit with discomfort, to breathe through distractions, and to continually bring your attention back to the present moment, no matter how challenging it becomes. This is where mental endurance comes in. In the same way that you build physical endurance by running a little farther each day or lifting heavier weights, you build mental endurance in meditation by sitting with difficult thoughts, emotions, or sensations. Over time, you start to strengthen your ability to focus, to stay present, and to endure the mental discomfort that arises when you face silence or internal resistance. When you first start meditating, you may find yourself bombarded with thoughts, distractions, or even a deep sense of unease. The mind does not want to be still. It resists. It wants to keep moving, keep thinking, and keep avoiding the discomfort of stillness. It's easy to get frustrated and feel like you're not doing it right. But what if I told you that this very resistance is where the growth happens? This is where the opportunity lies. Just like David Goggins talks about facing the physical pain of his ultra-endurance races or Navy SEAL training, meditation offers the same kind of opportunity to face the pain of mental resistance. The urge to quit, the urge to run away, is exactly where the transformation begins. By pushing through that discomfort and staying present with whatever arises, you begin to build mental toughness, resilience, and an unwavering ability to stay focused, no matter how difficult the situation becomes. This practice of pushing through resistance in meditation also mirrors the way we can break through self-imposed limits. In his story, Goggins frequently mentions the concept of a governor, a mental limiter that tells you when enough is enough, that convinces you to quit, that says you can't go any further. This governor is a mental block, one that often holds us back from reaching our true potential. And just like in physical endurance, the only way to overcome it is to push past it. Meditation serves as a training ground for this. Every time you encounter a distracting thought or feel the urge to escape, you have a choice: to let that limit define you or to push through it, strengthen your resolve, and deepen your practice. The more you meditate, the more you learn that those limits are often self-imposed, and that with every challenge you face, you're capable of going further than you thought possible. Meditation also teaches us the power of surrender. In many ways, this is one of the most profound aspects of the practice. In Goggin's story, he talks about enduring pain not by fighting it, but by surrendering to it. It's not about forcing the discomfort away, but about learning to sit with it, to accept it, and to allow it to pass without letting it control your actions. Meditation teaches us this same principle. The more we try to control our thoughts or emotions, the more we struggle. But when we let go of the need to control everything, when we allow ourselves to simply experience the present moment as it is, we find a deeper level of peace and strength. It's in the act of surrendering that we gain true freedom. Through meditation, we also train our minds for mental toughness. Just as physical endurance is built through consistent practice, mental toughness is built through regular meditation. Every time you meditate, you're strengthening your ability to focus, to be present, and to endure discomfort. It's easy to think that mental toughness only applies to physical challenges, but in reality, the mind's ability to withstand emotional, psychological, or mental pain is just as important. The more we practice, the more we become capable of handling life's difficulties with composure and resilience. Ultimately, meditation allows us to transcend the inner barriers that we've built for ourselves. Much like Goggins pushes through his fears and doubts to achieve greatness, deep meditation enables us to confront our own limiting beliefs, doubts, and fears. We come to realize that the barriers we've erected in our minds are often illusory. The true strength lies not in avoiding discomfort, but in embracing it, facing it, and growing stronger through it. Through meditation, we tap into the deepest reserves of our mental and emotional strength, and we discover that we are far more capable than we ever imagined. Meditation, when practiced with intention and commitment, becomes a journey of self-mastery, just like any extreme physical challenge. It's not about escaping life's difficulties, but about learning to face them with a calm, resilient mind. And in this journey, we unlock the limitless potential within ourselves. When you sit down to meditate, it often seems like it should be easy. Just sit, just breathe, just be. But within moments, the mind starts to rebel. Thoughts rush in. Your body feels restless. Maybe your legs ache, your back tightens. Or you suddenly remember an email you forgot to send. The silence starts to feel loud. The stillness becomes uncomfortable. You want to move to check your phone, to get up and do anything else. This is the mind's resistance, and this is where the real work of meditation begins. What many people don't realize is that resistance is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're stepping into the real practice. The mind doesn't want to be tamed. It doesn't want to sit still or be quiet. It wants constant stimulation, distraction, movement. So when you ask it to be still, to stay present, it pushes back. It throws everything it can at you. Boredom, anxiety, restlessness, now. And it does this because it's trying to return to what's familiar, chaos, noise, anything but presence. This resistance is not unique to meditation. It's the same force that shows up when you try to change your life, when you decide to push your body beyond its limits, or when you take on something new and challenging. David Goggins speaks openly about this. Whether it was going through Navy SEAL training or running hundreds of miles with broken feet, he constantly faced resistance, his mind telling him to stop, his body screaming in pain, every voice inside urging him to quit. But instead of quitting, he learned to lean into that resistance. He made friends with it. He turned it into fuel. In meditation, we can do the same. When the mind resists, we don't run from it. We don't label it as failure. We sit with it. We stay. Every time you choose not to get up, not to follow that thought, not to abandon your breath, you're training your mind. You're building inner strength. You're teaching yourself that you don't have to obey every impulse or escape every moment of discomfort. That's power. Over time, something interesting begins to happen. You start to notice that the resistance itself becomes lighter. Not because it disappears, but because your relationship with it changes. Instead of seeing it as something to battle, you start to see it as a doorway. Every time resistance shows up, it's offering you a choice: give in or go deeper. And each time you choose to stay, you're carving out a path in your mind, a path of resilience, presence, and awareness. Meditation then becomes less about achieving some perfect state of bliss and more about staying committed, moment by moment, to the process, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is. That's where the transformation happens. When you sit through the storm, when you don't move, when you feel everything is stay anyway, that's where you become unshakable. It's a lot like what Goggins talks about when he runs until his body shuts down. He's not doing it to impress anyone. He's doing it to reach that place beyond the mind's limits, where something deeper kicks in, what he calls the real you. Meditation is a quieter version of the same journey. It's a battle of awareness, not willpower. And it's not about conquering the mind as much as it is about learning to coexist with it, to understand its games, and to remain steady as it tries to pull you away. So when resistance arises, and it always will, don't fight it and don't fear it. Welcome it, sit with it. Let it be your training ground. Because every moment you stay in meditation, despite the resistance, you are building a mind that is calm under pressure, steady in chaos, and strong in the face of anything life throws at you. That kind of strength is rare, and it is forged in silence. We all have a point where we feel like we've had enough. A moment when our body, our mind, or our emotions signal that it's time to stop, to give up, to give up. This moment is what David Goggins calls hitting the governor. It's a mental limiter built into all of us, telling us when we're at capacity, even though more often than not, we're nowhere near it. The governor is not real in the physical sense, but its effect is powerful. It tells us we've reached the edge, when in reality we only scratch the surface of what we're capable of. In deep meditation, just like in any physical endurance event, this governor shows up. It might not wear the same clothes as physical fatigue or breathlessness, but it speaks the same language of limitation. You can't sit still any longer. This is pointless. Why are you even doing this? These thoughts come not because you're weak, but because you're doing something powerful, pushing past the surface layer of your mind. Most people never realize how deeply this governor controls them. It's subtle, convincing, it sounds like truth. But when you start meditating, when you sit in silence for extended periods and begin observing the layers of your thoughts and emotions, you start to recognize that voice. It tells you to get up after 5 minutes. It creates an itch, a distraction, a memory, anything to stop you from continuing. But just like in a hard workout, if you stay with it long enough, if you breathe through that edge, you begin to see that it was never your limit. It was just the beginning of a deeper layer. Meditation gives you the tools to face that governor and push beyond it, not by force, but by awareness. The more you practice, the more you begin to see that the real growth happens just beyond that mental limiter. It's on the other side of wanting to quit. It's in that moment when your body is squirming, your mind is restless, and every part of you wants to move, but you don't. You stay. You breathe. You observe. That is the point where transformation begins. Each time you pass that threshold, the governor's voice weakens. You realize it's not absolute. It's a suggestion, not a rule. And every time you override it, your capacity expands. Your confidence builds. You start to trust that you are far stronger than you ever imagined. This is why meditation, like running an ultramarathon or enduring military training, is not just about discipline, it's about breaking through the psychological chains we've placed on ourselves. Most people never tap into even half of their mental potential, not because they're incapable, but because they stop at the first sign of discomfort. They believe the governor. But if you stay in the discomfort long enough, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim control. You stop reacting to every thought. You stop running from silence. You stop needing comfort to feel safe. And the best part is, this strength doesn't just stay on the meditation cushion. It bleeds into your life. The more you push past your mental limits in stillness, the more you can push past them in action. Stressful conversations, difficult situations, moments of fear or insecurity, they start to lose their grip on you. You've trained for this. You've sat with yourself in discomfort and made peace with it. Now, when life turns up the pressure, you don't crumble. You breathe. You respond. You endure. This is the essence of pushing beyond self-imposed limits. It's not about ego or proving something to the world. It's about discovering the vast, untapped strength that lies within. Meditation reveals that the limits we feel aren't real, they're constructs. And like any construct, they can be dismantled. All it takes is a willingness to sit, to stay, and to see what's on the other side. There is a powerful shift that happens in meditation when we stop trying to control the experience and instead allow ourselves to fully surrender to the moment. At first, meditation feels like a task to be managed. We try to control our thoughts, control our breath, control how still we can sit, and control the outcome of the session. But the deeper we go, the more we realize that the real transformation doesn't come from control, it comes from surrender. This surrender is not weakness. It's a conscious release of the constant need to manage everything, to dictate every experience. It's the same kind of surrender David Goggins refers to when he speaks about pushing through the most painful parts of his physical training, not by resisting the pain, but by allowing it to be there, embracing it, and moving through it without fear. In meditation, surrendering to the moment means letting go of expectations. You're not sitting to reach enlightenment in 20 minutes. You're not trying to make your thoughts disappear. You're not aiming for a blissed out state every time you close your eyes. You're simply showing up for what is your breath, your body, your emotions, and your mind exactly as they are, without trying to change or fix them. This kind of presence requires courage. It's easy to chase ideal states of peace or joy. It's much harder to sit with anxiety, boredom, frustration, or sadness and not flinch. Yet this is the heart of the practice, accepting what arises, surrendering to it, and learning to be with it fully. When you surrender in meditation, you begin to see that much of your mental suffering doesn't come from the thoughts or emotions themselves, it comes from your resistance to them. A thought arises and you push it away. A feeling surfaces and you try to suppress it. The mind starts wandering and you get frustrated. This push-pull dynamic creates tension. But when you let go of that resistance, when you allow thoughts to come and go without judgment, when you let emotions move through you without trying to clamp down on them, a deep peace begins to emerge. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because you've stopped fighting what's real. David Goggins often talks about embracing the suck, about leaning into the hard, uncomfortable, painful parts of life rather than avoiding them. Meditation teaches the same lesson, just on an internal level. You learn to stop avoiding the difficult parts of your inner world. You learn to stay with discomfort instead of running from it. And in doing so, you gain strength. You build trust with yourself. You realize that you don't have to control everything to be okay. You don't need every moment to be perfect to feel grounded. You just need to be present. Surrendering in meditation also invites humility. It shows us that the mind is wild and sometimes no amount of effort will quiet it. But that's not failure, that's reality. And the moment you stop trying to dominate your experience and start observing it with compassion and openness, you begin to align with a deeper intelligence within yourself. There's wisdom in surrender. It's not about giving up, it's about giving in to the flow of the moment and trusting that whatever arises, you can handle it. Over time, this surrender becomes a way of life. You begin to bring it into your relationships, your work, your challenges. You stop clenching your way through life. You stop overthinking, overanalyzing, overreacting. You learn to respond instead of react. You find space between stimulus and response. You breathe more, you soften. You begin to realize that true strength isn't rigid, it's fluid. It bends, it moves, it allows. And that kind of strength born from surrender is what allows you to remain unshaken when life gets hard. So when you meditate, don't try to conquer the moment. Don't try to win. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be surrender. That's where the real power is. Meditation is often misunderstood as simply a practice to calm the mind, but it is much more than that. At its core, meditation is a rigorous form of training and internal discipline that cultivates mental toughness through stillness, silence, and relentless attention. Just like physical muscles grow through resistance and repetition, the mind becomes stronger, more resilient, and sharper through the practice of consistent meditation. It's not about escaping life or avoiding struggle. It's about learning how to face it with clarity and strength. And in many ways, it parallels the mindset of someone like David Goggins, who intentionally puts himself through extreme physical and mental hardship to sharpen his mind and test his limits. Meditation might not seem as dramatic from the outside, but internally, it is a battleground where mental strength is forged. Each time you sit down to meditate, you are training the mind to do something very difficult, to remain still, focused, and undistracted in a world that constantly demands your attention. In the beginning, it feels impossible. The mind runs wild, leaping from one thought to another, reminding you of everything you need to do or replaying every mistake you've made. You may find yourself unable to focus for even a few seconds. This is not a sign of weakness. It is the starting point. Just like you don't walk into the gym and expect to lift 300 pounds on your first day, you can't expect the mind to suddenly become still without practice. But every time you catch your wandering attention and gently bring it back to the breath or to the present moment, you are doing a mental rep. You are training. You are building. This repetition is key. Meditation is not glamorous. It is often boring, frustrating, uncomfortable, and repetitive. But in that repetition, something begins to change. Your attention span grows. Your patience deepens. You begin to notice the subtle layers of your own thoughts, emotions, and habits. More importantly, you learn how to sit through the internal storms without reacting. That ability to remain composed and grounded in the face of discomfort is the very definition of mental toughness. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being steady. It's about responding instead of reacting, choosing presence over panic, clarity over chaos. In meditation, the distractions don't stop. The mind doesn't suddenly go silent forever. What changes is your relationship with it. You stop being pulled around by every thought. You stop believing every emotion needs to be acted on. You develop a space within yourself, a solid core that can witness everything without collapsing under pressure. This is what makes meditation such a powerful form of mental conditioning. You learn to stay still when everything inside you is screaming to move. You learn to breathe through discomfort rather than avoid it. You learn that you are stronger than your impulses, your restlessness, your doubt. This internal strength translates directly into your everyday life. The same discipline you cultivate on the meditation cushion becomes a discipline you bring into stressful conversations, tough decisions, tough or emotionally charged situations. You start to realize that you don't have to react to every provocation. You don't have to be tossed around by external circumstances. You've trained for this. You've sat in silence with your own chaos and learned how to remain centered. That calm, steady presence becomes your superpower. Meditation then is not about escaping the world. It's about preparing for it. It's about meeting life with open eyes, a steady heart, and an unshakable mind. It's about showing up to the moment with full presence, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Mental toughness isn't just built in the gym or on the track. It's built in the quiet, in the discipline of sitting with yourself every day, and in the choice to stay present no matter what arises. That's the real work. That's the inner strength.